Welcome everyone to this week's interview of Raise Your Profile. Today I have Ronald and Petrina with me, and we're going to have the most amazing chat on Iridology. If you don't know what that is yet, then I'll leave Ronald and Petrina explain, and also let them share their story and how they started doing what they do now. So welcome, Ronald and Petrina. It's so good to have you here finally with me today.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
Yeah, great to meet you again.
Again. So how did you guys start? I want to hear both of your stories. You can choose who to start. How did you, I know you individually were doing Iridology before you guys met. So how did you start? What's the story behind your today's work?
Well, for myself, I'm an accountant and auditor. So I was working very, very long hours. And it got to a stage of my life where I got very tired. And I said, I must really pay more attention to my health because I was healthy. However, it was like I was working really long hours, like maybe 12 hours a day and maybe 6-7 days a week. So it got to a stage where, yes, the money was good, but it wasn't really satisfactory anymore. So I got more inclined to my health. I was already eating quite healthy. So, however, when my parents, they're based in Malaysia, that's where I'm from, and Ronald was actually working there. So my mom and dad were one of his first customers and his followers. So my mom told me, when you next come back to Malaysia to visit, you must go and see Ronald to actually get your health checked out. So I did. And I got really interested in that because he taught me a lot of things that I was already eating very healthy compared to other people. However, he took the health level to a different level, higher level, much higher level, in terms of adding more herbs, more minerals to my food. And that's how I actually got into more interest in Iridology as well. So I've actually learned from there. And for Ronald, I think his is a different story because he started a long time way before me.
Long time ago, yeah. You want to add more to yours?
No, that's fine. Yeah.
No, we you know, if you told me about, say, 25 years ago that I would be working in England or UK and partnered and married to a lady like Petrina, I would have thought, no. Australia, Asia, fine, but England, no. You know, I would have really thought that, but
because of the lack of sunshine.
The lack of sunshine and perceptions, you know. So, but how it all started, it was quite fascinating. I'll just summarise it. When I was 3 years old, my grandfather was from French extraction, right? And my grandmother also the same. Now, my grandfather was one of the incredibly wise, smart people about organic foods and also organic chickens and so on, right? So, and in his yard, right, I remember this vividly, in his yard he had papaya, pawpaw, mangoes, bananas, guavas, chocos, lettuces. He had everything. And you know, at that, when you were young, 3 to say 10 years old, you either get interested in it or it's like, nah, doesn't matter. But I saw what he did in his yard with the planting and all the things he was adding to it, like chicken manure and horse manure. And I thought, this is interesting stuff, right? And he was also taking me to the markets where they were selling fresh food. But then I would look at that food and I would look at his food and I realized there was a big difference, right? His food was alive, absolutely alive, right? So I thought, I got interested in it. And it was about 38 cousins in our family, big families, you know, from mum, dad, and all. 38 cousins all up. Some of them are 8, 9 people in the same family, right? So, but the remarkable bit is that my grandfather must have sensed something about me. He picked me out of 38 cousins who were, you know, in the roundabouts. He picked me and he said, Ronald, you're gonna be really, really switched on with what I'm going to teach you. And I was quite amazed that he picked me because some of the other ones were seen as smart, older, whatever. And I thought, yep, I'll go with this. And so every day when I'd come home from school, I'd go and see him. I'd go and visit him next door. He's living next to us, right? I'd go and see him and I'd help him in the garden. And I learned an enormous amount about chickens and so on. And one of the things he taught me, why eggs are so much better is when they're fertilized. right? And what do you mean by that? He said he had about 80 chickens, right, females, and he had 12 roosters, 12, right? So he worked out between 7 to 8 chickens per rooster, kept the chickens happy, and their eggs were incredibly tasty. I remember the taste, like, it's not like the eggs you get today, right? These were like properly managed, and he was feeding them grains and wheat and rice cooked. He really cared for them. So every time we would feel so a bit unwell, Grandma would make like a chicken soup. She'd make a fresh egg salad, and she would add the chocos, the tomatoes, the cucumbers with the skin on. And I just learned and I learned and I learned. Little did I know that I would eventually be like a world author eventually, and I'd be working in about 23 countries on this subject, right? So anyway, that was where I started nutrition, and then at that point I studied all the top nutritionists that were around. Pahava Arola, Little Old Cordell, Adele Davis, Lady Selena, all of those. I bought their books, and I met some of them, and I read them, and I just learned the next level. Eventually I thought, hey, I reckon I can do as well, if not better, by me doing my own research. So I went into the organic system, and I was blessed enough to meet a English horticulturist living in Adelaide called Peter Bennett. Peter was an amazing guy, right? And he had learned his lesson. At the age he was qualified horticulturist, and this guy had a massive heart attack at the age of 50, and he stopped doing corporate work, and he went into organic gardening shop. He started a little shop called an organic gardening shop, and he was on a busy road, and he's probably 15 square feet. And I'll tell you what, that place was a mine of information. He had all the probiotics, prebiotics, minerals, all the vitamins for plants. He took me to he was doing a weekly course on a Wednesday night for about 3 or 4 hours. Anyway, I studied that course under him for 5 years. 5 years. Every Wednesday night I went there. I ended up going in his garden, looking at his growth. He was growing courgettes 18 inches long. 18 inches, right? I've got photos of it. 18 inches long. He was growing cucumbers, tomatoes in his back garden in Adelaide. And the remarkable at that size courgette, they were still as tender as a courgette that was 6 inches. It was that good. We used to make like meat dishes inside the courgette. It was that big, But in Australia we call it zucchini. Yeah. Instead of courgette, right? Anyway, so I moved on from there, and then eventually wherever I went, was it Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, wherever, in Singapore, I started planting organically wherever I went. So eventually, when I came here about 8-9 years ago, I said to Petrina, I looked at the backyard and I said, "Where's your food production?"
It was mainly lawn and lots of dandelions, to be fair.
Yeah. There was 2 acacia trees and 2 bamboo trees. I said, "Where's your food production?" And she looked at me, she said, "What are you talking about? I work 6.5 days a week." She said, "I don't have time for this." Right? I said, "Well, sack your gardener." Yes, she had a gardener come every 6 weeks. Sack your gardener, I'll do everything. So in the last 8 years, I've planted 20 fruit trees, 48 herbs, and about 16 vegetables. Right? And you look in the garden, it's just green in the back. Absolutely green, right? Now, the good thing about it is that when I started with 3 pots. So that was giving us food for about, say, a month, 2 months, a year. And I thought, no, I'm not happy with that. I want to push the system that I create so that it would provide food for 11 months or 12 months, right? And in the last 3 years, we managed to get it to 11 months. And then last year, we invested into a small glass house, but 5-6 feet by about 4 feet. and that has been a huge additional, because now we're going in winter as well, so we can go all of this. So what actually happened is that how we went from there in the iridology in 1976. Okay, 1976, my back was playing up. I was 30 years old.
He used to be in the army,
Used
so
to be
he
in the
was
army.
jumping out of helicopters, huge parachutes and
backpacks and all. So my lower back was quite sore. So anyway, I end up being invited to visit a chiropractor called Tony Human in Adelaide. And already I'd had a background of about 46, about 30 years in nutrition already. So when he met me, remember he's a chiropractor, right?
So when just to be clear, so for 30 years you had background in nutrition, and then iridology. Okay, yeah.
Just about every branch of nutrition. You're talking about prebiotics, vitamins, minerals, proteins, carbohydrates, fats. I did it, right?
Okay.
And I was tuned into it. But as fate would have it, when I went to see this guy, Tony Human, he's a brilliant chiropractor. I was there to see him. Instead of lying me on the couch and manipulating and testing me, he said, "Open your eyes." And I went, "What?"
What does that have?
I was 30 and I was very alert.
Yeah.
And he said, "Open your eyes." I said, "Okay." He said, "Close this one." So I went like that. And he got his magnifying glass and he looked in his right eye. And he's muttering away, and then he went to the left eye, and then he went to his drawer, and he kept.
He had a chart
like this,
which was in black and white.
It was black and white in those days. It was black and white, He had a chart like this. It was 1976.
Can you put it up for everyone to see it?
Yeah.
Here it is. Chart.
Okay.
Right and left.
We'll go into it a bit more in a minute, right?
Yeah.
So, and that chart at the time was black and white, and he had it hidden in the drawer. I don't know why, but maybe he didn't want me to know what he was doing. But I was so curious because he kept opening the drawer, looking at it, and then going back and forth, right? Anyway, at the end of about 10, 15 minutes of analysis, just with the magnifying glass, he lied me down, and he went, right. And he went down exactly to where my pain was. Exactly. There's 24 vertebrae in the back, and what was affected was about 19, 20, 21, thereabouts. And he went straight there, and I thought, how the hell did you know that? I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him where my back was hurting, right? So
this because in the chart, the iridology chart, you'll see the back itself over here.
Can you point again? Down there.
Yeah, sorry, where this area is, that's the back itself. Yeah. This whole thing's the back.
Can you see it?
And the same with the left eye as well. Can you see over here?
Mm-hmm.
This areas, that's the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be more precise, it's a spinal column.
Yes.
Right?
But just to explain to our listeners, because in case somebody doesn't know what iridology is.
Yes.
Right, is what. Yeah, I'll let you explain. It's basically the eye can show any health concerns on a specific.
Yeah,
the iris. Yeah.
Just go back one step. At the end of his consultation, like 20 minutes or so, he adjusted my back, and I looked at him and I said, "Tony, you're a chiropractor. What are you doing looking in my eyes?" And he went, "Iridology." And I went, "What?" I said, "What is that?" He said, "I can look in your eyes, and I can tell where your back is out, your vertebrae's out, subluxation." I went, "What's in the drawer?" He pulled out the chart. He said, "Here it is." It looked like Greek hieroglyphics. And I went, "My goodness, how does he know that?" I said, "Who taught you this?" He said, "My father. He's a top chiropractor. He taught me that." And I straight away, anyway, I said to him, I said, "Look, would you mind giving me some information about how I start?" And he did. He gave me a book on it, volume 2, went from there. And then this is volume 2. Volume 2. Look at the size of it. Yeah. Look at the size of it.
That thick.
Right? That thick. Look at that. That's it.
Is that the Bible of iridology? Is that
it's a Bible, right? Like that. So, and look at the markings, right? That's my 4th book, right? So, and then I've got another one. This one that was written by another top lady from America. Said that. And that's quite a big book, hardcover. So there's about 800 pages of absolutely hardcore information about iridology. So So iridology, in a nutshell, has been around for about 250 years, right? But back in those days, they would use magnifying glass, right? So as time went on, it just developed and developed and developed. I ended up meeting a leading camera band builder in America, in California, and so you see that camera behind us there.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
built that. This guy was an iridologist himself, but he also built the camera over 35 years of experiments. So this is now the leading camera in the world for iridology, right? So to answer your question more precisely, what is iridology? It is the study of the iris. Okay. Now, what is the iris? In the Egyptian language, iris actually means rainbow. So the Egyptians were quite advanced in health.
I didn't know that. Okay.
They were very advanced, and so you can see on the hieroglyphics back in their tombs and the catacombs, they had pictures of eyes, right? So they must have had some degree of interest in the iris. And I understand that some of the Egyptians had purple eyes, green eyes, blue eyes, hazel. It was amazing, right? So there's evidence of that, right? So anyway, so they started with the iris. They call it because it was like a rainbow. You see the rainbow of colors, and the eye can be like that. You can have a rainbow of colors, right? In eye, depends on the person, right? So at that point, I thought, I'm going to study this for about a year. If it makes sense, I'm going to keep going, right? If it doesn't, I'm going to keep going with my nutrition, right? So anyway, I started studying, and the more I studied it, the more I realized that this was incredible science, and approach with the right cameras and the right intelligence, that it would reveal some amazing, absolutely amazing truth about what's happening inside the body, right? So I studied every book I got on it. I studied for about 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I ended up photographing over 40,000 pairs of eyes.
Wow.
You stopped counting.
We stopped
40,000
counting.
was years ago.
Yeah,
that
it was fat. 40,000 pairs of eyes. Now, 40,000 pairs of eyes. So that's a lot of experience, right? And so what happened is the iridology was a primary analytic tool to actually look at the eye and tell you up to 600 conditions in the eye. 600.
600.
Right?
Wow.
600. But I reckon there's more. You can see more, right? So what iridology is, I will give you a bit of a summary. What iridology actually is the intense capacity to photograph the eye, photograph the iris, blow it up on a computer about this big, quite big, or that, and then read the eye from 12 o'clock all the way down to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and every location reveals something. Every location, right? For example, if I get that chart, I'm going to show you. If I get the chart, just show them the right. Now, if you look here, you'll see right and you'll see left, right? Okay, can you see it? Right and left. Now, that sector from here to here is the right brain.
Okay.
Get it? From there to there, right brain. And that sector here to here is a left brain. Now, the studies show that that portion here in the right brain, in that bit, depending on the markings, that would reveal the imagination capacity of the patient. Imagination. So right brain, right eye, imagination. The left brain here, logic.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually tell whether someone's logical or not. You can tell someone whether someone's got imagination or not.
It's developed in them. Okay.
Developed in them, right? And you can see it in kids, grandfathers, grandmothers, everything else. So that's the brain part. But also revealed in the iridology is the throat area, the tonsils, the thyroid, the ears, the nose, the lungs, the bronchial tubes, the heart, the pancreas, the kidneys, the liver, the gallbladder, the colon, the entire digestive system, the legs, everything is in the eye. every key organ.
So, for example,
Yeah.
if you've had an injury in, say, your foot,
Yeah.
that marks up in the eye as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And even years later, it can still show up,
Yeah.
depending on how the foot has healed.
Yeah. And the main reason why you can see that, because it's been scientifically proven that the eye has 28,000 nerve endings. 28,000 nerve endings.
Mhm.
So on the left side of the body, it's unlike a stroke. If you get a stroke on this side, you're likely to be paralyzed on the right. All right? And if you get a stroke on this side, you're likely to be paralyzed on the left. But in iridology, your left eye.
Hard to say. I thought it would be the other way around. Well, for the
Yes.
eyes. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fabulous, isn't it? So the left eye talks about your left brain, your left hair, your left ear, your left nose, left cheekbone, left thyroid, left lung, all the way down the left. Okay?
Mhm.
And the right side tells about your right brain, right eyes, right side, right throat, and so on, right? So and then you can pinpoint the damage or the toxicity when you understand the markings as much as we do now. You can actually pinpoint it exactly where it is. You know whether it's the left side or the right side.
What
Okay?
about the heart and stomach and things like that that don't really have left or right?
Yeah, it's all there. It's all there.
On both sides then.
Well, you get some which are more prominent on the right side, like the liver.
Mhm.
The liver's in two parts. So you got the liver on the right side, more prominent, and the smaller liver is on the left side. So you can even tell the toxicity in the left liver or the right liver from the eyes.
Okay.
So you then know what you're talking about. You know whether the whole liver is toxic or only partial, right? Same with the thyroid. You could have someone with a problem with their left thyroid, and that will show more on the left side in the eye, right? In the iris, right? Now, so what happened as a result is when you follow this all the way through, and you have the very vivid photography, and we've got excellent computer, excellent software, and excellent camera, so we're able to highlight every single fiber in the eye, every single fiber, right? And in blue eyes and hazel eyes, we see the fibers much more clearly, right? Now, another thing that's fascinating, it's like when you look at the eyes, you can tell whether the eyes is weak, the actual fabric. It can be acute, subacute, chronic, or degenerative, okay? Now, for example, if your fibers in the eye are straight like that and they're tight to each other, all right, that is equivalent to cotton. Now, as you know, cotton is very strong, right? So if the cotton, the weaving is like that, it's very tight. If everything in the fiber in that eye is tight like that, that's what we call a strong constitution, right? Now, remarkably, as the body starts to get old or you not take care of it, the fibers, instead of being like that, they'll open up. They'll open up. And then where they open up that's where you see the damage. That's where you see the toxicity, the damage, the weakness, and the condition of the toxicity and the condition of that organ, right? So you'll see zigzags like that. You'll see twists. You'll see crossovers. They all mean something is happening in that particular location, right? For example, at 740 in the right eye, that's your liver and gallbladder. So if I see a mark like that in your liver and it's all brown, it means your liver is toxic. Fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
Right? Yeah, so rather than do test after test after test, you can actually pin down the organ that is suffering, right? Now, whilst we're on that, you've got to know this as well. When you see the organ, you can actually tell from iridology, you can actually tell the level of toxicity or weakness that person suffers from, right?
Can you tell that?
Well, for example, if you look at, say, the photographs and they're like that in the liver, right, and the liver is like clear brown, that means the liver is fine.
So it's the extent to which.
But then if you do this, or if you go like this, zigzag and crossovers, and you can see it's like a wound, like been cut in, depending on the size of it, you can then tell what level of toxicity or weakness that organ is suffering from.
Yeah.
Okay. And now the next fascinating thing is that you've got to be able to decipher whether that weakness on the liver came from the grandfather or the grandmother or the mum and dad, right? And that made me realize, okay, we all made of ancestry. We're all made of the genetics of ancestry, right? It could be from grandfather, great-grandfather, great-grandmother. That's why you see the features come true. You look at all photos, you go, oh gosh, that's my grandfather. Look at, he's got the same eyes as me. So, and now you don't get the genetics just from your face. You also get it from your body type, like whether you're mesomorph, ectomorph, endomorph, right? You also get it to whether you can when you talk to your parents, they'll say, oh, grandfather the bad liver, or dad of the bad liver, and you go, oh gosh. Then you start to add it all together,
yeah.
And that liver problem has genetically transferred itself to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now the good news is, once you know that, if you didn't know that, right, you wouldn't know how to treat it.
Yeah.
But with iridology, you know how to treat it, because you don't have to fight with the genetics. You can modify the genetics and improve the health of that organ.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I tell you what, that blew me away.
Genetics. Yeah.
Yeah, despite the genetics. Now, you got to remember this, genetics plays quite a big part. It's been proven that the human body is made up of 1/3 genetics, 2/3 other things, right?
Like the environment.
Like the environment and the food you eat and everything else, right? But 1/3 is a lot.
I thought it was even less actually, but I guess they're different theories.
No.
I thought it's 10% genetics and 90 environment. No?
No, it's 1/3, because I'll give you an example how I prove that. My sister, for example, we always kid each other because she knows what I do. My sister got mum's hands and she got dad's legs. Now, my dad's legs were like sticks, like thin sticks, right? But I ended up getting my dad's face, my dad's hands, and my mum's calves.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got diamond calves, so I got the best of everything.
Like,
but I did inherit a weakness of the eyes from my dad, because that was the genetic transfer from my dad, right? So he wore glasses at 42, right? But because it's a long story, but because I knew about the genetics, I was able to design a package for my eyes at the age of 50, and I actually blew the genetics apart. I didn't wear glasses till 50, right? But at 50 I did. But then I followed up a certain system that I worked on, and that system is so unique. I took a double formula what was designed, plus the exercise and so on. And at the age of 51 and a half, using iridology and nutrition combined, and exercise, and mental vision, I stopped wearing glasses at the age of 51 and a half. And in August, I'll be 74, and I still do not wear glasses.
mm-hmm.
So in other words, through the help of iridology and another science which I'll tell you about, I was able to stop wearing glasses. And actually, I think now I'm at the point where what I'm doing, I think I'll get to 100, 120 without glasses, which is extraordinary, right? Yeah, now, if you speak to most optometrists, which I have, they'll tell you 45 is about the limit. You wear glasses, especially in today's environment, right? The iridology is an amazing science that once you know what you're doing, and I think because I've dedicated from 1976 till now, which is 44 years, I've dedicated 44 years to understanding it. That's why I reckon I'm really now at the peak of my game, right? And I can still probably put another 20 years into it. And this is where now I need to teach someone or group of people how to take this and run it to the next level up, right?
Okay.
This is such an amazing tool to help humanity. And for the life of me, I don't understand why the general healing profession doesn't look at that and really get involved into it. It's probably too much dedication. right?
It's too difficult to learn. Sorry, go on. What do you think is the reason that?
I think the money is coming to it. I think the money. I think if you get easy money, £100,000 by being a medical practitioner or something on that line, that's it. That's enough for you. You don't need to go anymore. That's it, right? But I'm much more than that. So is Petrina. We want to help thousands and thousands more people to recover, and we still get paid.
Mm-hmm.
We get paid. At the end of the day, when we're judged, they're going to say this guy chased the money or did he chase the health?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be absolutely on the table. We help people for their health and their wellness.
Yeah.
And that's what you're judged on, not on the money.
Yeah. Even.
You see, you got to be authentic, right? Yeah. And when people meet me, the kids meet me, I see the look on their faces. It's like they're instant rapport. Because, when you're authentic, kids are 6 years old, 7 years old, they pick up on you. They pick up whether you're evil or not. They do, right? Yeah. And that when you look at them and you talk to them, and they have no problem getting their eyes photographed because they trust me. And within minutes, they trust me. The family trusts me. We work with that. Now, back to the iridology is that I believe now, Petrina is now been trained for 8 years. So she now understands how it works and the potency of it. Now, I want to give you an example about what happened to her. Right? About probably 10 years ago, I started getting it, and I said to her, if you want to be with this, you have to really follow my advice. Don't jump on the pizzas or the chocolate or whatever, right? She was a bit fond of chocolate, right? And anyway, most women are, So anyway, so I said to her, you've got to follow my advice, and then that's going to pay you big dividends. So, and for about 5 years, she did exactly like that. She ate a good breakfast, the way I taught her, lunch, fruits, vegetables, herbs. And by then we were also eating from the yard, from our own garden, right? And then the acid test came this way. About 3 years back, her school friends, right? She went to school, a very famous school in Malaysia. Her school friends invited us to come to a Chinese restaurant, a floating Chinese restaurant in London. And it was about 15 of them, 15 to 18. And I'll always remember what happened. So I'm taking for granted that Petrina looks good like this. You see, I'm taking it for granted. So we arrived there. We were the last to arrive. We've come from a long way. Most of them were local and we're inside London. As we walked in the restaurant, we walked on the gangplank, we walked up and they saw us come in. The whole 15 stopped and went like that. And I thought, I know what they're looking at. They're looking at Petrina. They're assessing what Petrina looks like.
Yeah.
Seeing it.
Healthy, yeah.
And they hadn't seen, some of them hadn't seen her for 20 years, right? So she was a prefect, so they knew her. So when they sat down,
the same.
There's this one lady in particular. She looked at Petrina and said, "Petrina, what is your secret? Right? What is your secret?" And she said, she pointed to me and she said, "Ask him." So the whole conversation went on about iridology.
So it's about, when you say the secret, is about nutrition then? Is it about once you know what is not right? So the iridology is about knowing what in your body is not right, or emotions, and then nutrition is what helps resolve it. Is that correct?
It's more than that. It's more than that. The iridology is a phenomenal tool, right? But without nutrition, it wouldn't work, right? You have to know nutrition. But a lot of iridologists that I've met, right, they're quite good at it. They can take photographs, analyze, but that's where they stop short. They don't understand nutrition fully.
They don't actually give the customers the solutions. They'll tell you about the problems, what they've seen in the eyes, but some of the solutions. They'll
even tell the customer, go and see a dietitian or go and see a nutritionist, right? Big mistake. I think you've got to be the one that sees the problem and also guides them in nutrition. The other factor that's come around for the last 25 years also is I learned that part from a Chinese physician who was a very capable acupuncturist and knowledge of Chinese medicine. And you remember he told me this when he first was teaching it. He said, he looked at me one day, he knew I was ready. He said to me, Mr. Ronald, the liver is a seat of anger.
Mm.
And I went, wow. And I looked at him, I said, let me get this right. Because it can be cryptic. Right? I said, let me get this right. Are you telling me that when the liver is angry, it makes you angry? He goes, yes. And when someone is angry, it makes the liver angry. He goes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And from that moment on, we were taught the next level. So when the liver's angry, it makes you angry. When you're angry, it makes the liver angry. Right? So when you talk liver, you talk about liver and gallbladder, right? Now, then the pancreas is a seat of sadness. It's a seat of suicide and depression, right? And the eyes, if you have eye problems, very often it's because you're scared of your future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and in the colon, if you've got diarrhea fairly constantly, it means that your frustration in life is high. You might be in a job that you don't like, and you're constantly frustrated because it's not your career in life, it's not your vocation. So you'll get diarrhea quite often, and that's the colon, right?
If you've got back problems,
yeah.
normally it's chance that you're not feeling supported.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is fascinating.
So if you've got back problems, it could be a lack of money, or lack of feeling that you lack money. It can also that your partner or your people in your life don't support you.
Yeah. Or you feel that they don't support you.
Yeah, because your back is your support of your body, right? Without your back, you wouldn't stand, right?
Mm.
So now, I'll just move forward a bit.
Yeah, and I want to hear some stories about how you've helped people. Say, I know you have stories about cancer and small other serious things.
Yes,
I would like those shocking stories to hear a few of those as well.
yeah. Well, I'll just tell you the next up is another science which I worked on as well for the last 25 years. Now we have iridology, which is the eyes, the iris, and then we now have sclerology, right, which is the study of the sclera, which is the whites of the eyes, right? And I studied that at length as well. So when we photograph the eyes, we're the only people in the world that do a straight shot, and then looking left, looking right, looking up, looking down. Now the sclerology is a study of the whites of the eyes, and what we see there is the capillaries that are blown up, they're twisted, they're broken, and we can add an enormous dimension of the next level of how sick that person is, right? We can tell whether they're smoking, we can tell whether they have headaches from the sclera.
Lack of vitamin C.
Lack of vitamin C, we can see it, right? And we've got a photo we can show you later of this lady in Malaysia that she used to smoke cigarettes for breakfast and lunch, and breakfast and lunch, have a cup of coffee. So she smoked all through the day. And then the only meal she had was like a bit of chicken and some greens.
Well, the greens, the greens, believe it or not, was actually, she claimed it was two vegetables. What the two vegetables was actually peas, garden peas, and potatoes. Those were the two vegetables.
Yeah, and her eyes were like a bloodshot tomato.
We actually met her in an area which was sort of like a jungle area in Malaysia.
Yes.
And in the dark, we were actually there quite late at night. You could actually see the whites of her eye was actually all red.
Yeah.
It was like if you squash a tomato in her eye. It was, and she was in terrible shape, right? But when we looked at the emotional part, she wasn't going to listen. We could tell she wasn't going to listen. So we didn't want to waste our time, right? But you got to deal with patients that want to work with you.
Of course, right? You can't force them to change.
Well, exactly, and they've got to be wise enough and smart enough to pick up that you're smart, you're super smart, right? And that's how it works. So when you ask the question, it's a good question. When you ask about some really tough cases we worked on, yes, I'll give you one of the worst ones. We met a guy about 2.5 years ago. Came from a Caribbean area, lived here, with a massive thyroid tumor, right? Now here, I'm not joking, from here, when he came in, his brother knew us, referred this guy, so he came in, and the tumor was from here, right over his shoulder and past it. Imagine it like a rugby ball.
Yeah.
It was the size like that. He was dying, no doubt about it, he was dying, you know. He'd lost about 45 to 50 pounds in muscular weight, lost all his hair. He'd been to 10 chemotherapies, right? He had 20 more to go. And the elder brother knew that if he went down for the extra dose of chemotherapy, there was a strong chance he was going to die, right? So anyway, I said, come over. So I sat him down, and I knew he was worried about money because he'd been sacked, couldn't work. Anyway, the first thing I said to him, I said, look, before you worry about how you're going to pay me, don't worry about it. I'm going to spend 2 hours or so with you, but what I want you to do is listen to my advice and don't go back to the chemotherapy. Don't. Because I tell you now, you'll be dead man walking. And he just looked at me. So I spent 2 hours doing his eyes, checking it out. And then at the end of 2 hours, I
Excuse me.
what we call a unique deep tissue detoxification program, right? We used that, and remarkably, he didn't go back to the chemotherapies, only had 10. Within 8 weeks later, within 3 weeks, we had results already. But 8 weeks, the tumor shrunk by half, which is extraordinary. Shrunk by half, in fact, it's super extraordinary. Shrunk by half. And then I applied the next lot of 8 where we applied it, and the tumor shrunk to 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter, you could hardly see it, but it was still there. But it wasn't as bad as before, right? Anyway, as fate would have it, I had to travel to Australia, and I met with a guy called Peter Edwards and Peter McDonald. Peter was a very capable guy, still is, same age as me, and he used to run the Gold Coast health food shop. And then he went on his own in markets and all. And he said to me, I told him the case, and he said, have you tried colloidal silver to kill the last lot? And I said, I've heard about it, but I said, have you got any more info? He said, yes. Anyway, I correlated what he gave me, and I correlated another book that I got on cancer and prevention. And the guy was unequivocal. They both said colloidal silver will kill 650 viruses. 650. That means the flu, AIDS, emphysema, it will kill the viruses that cause that. Quite fascinating, right? So anyway, I got him a bottle, about $35 Australian, sent it here, and I said 1 teaspoon under his tongue, right? And 3 times a day. 3 weeks later, went back to the oncologist, they checked him out, no cancer, gone. Really? I tell you, he was blown away. I mean, so we just sort of the fitting peg that was the last bit. Now, so it's been 2.5 years, and he hasn't had any recurrence of cancer or tumors at all. None.
The other case which we helped was about 5 years ago now. We helped this lady who was a critical care nurse.
Yes.
She was only about 23 when she saw us, and she's been having severe migraines for at least 10 years, since she was 13. And she went to doctor after doctor, and none of them could actually tell her what was wrong with her. And she eventually went to the so-called best surgeons in UK and two other countries, Belgium and France as well. And they all told her she had a tumor and she needed surgery on her brain. So her being a critical care nurse, she said she's not going to have that dangerous sort of surgery on her head.
You got to drill into the brain.
Yes. So she eventually heard about us, and we saw that the tumor, the so-called tumor, was actually, remember when Ronald was saying between 10 till 12? Yeah. 10 till 2, that's actually the brain area, the head area. So we actually, when we took photos, we actually saw that around that area, there was actually like toxicity in terms of like shadows.
Yes. And
the toxicity was actually to do more or less with the food she was eating. She was eating a lot of fast food, convenience foods. So when we got her off that and also implemented some supplements, top quality supplements.
If I can just explain.
Yeah.
The shadows, they were more like a dark brown, muddy shadows in the picture of the eye. Okay, so keep going.
Yeah. So when she followed our advice, getting off the fast foods, all the convenience processed foods, and taking the top quality supplements, she eventually got rid of her migraines naturally.
Yes.
So it was tumor, basically.
It wasn't tumor, so there was no need.
Yeah.
So can you imagine if she had followed?
Very scary stuff.
Yeah.
Eminent doctors, eminent, well-trained doctors in the UK, Belgium, and France, all eminent, all respected, kept telling her the same thing. You probably got a tumor. We're gonna have to drill into your brain and just see what's in there. When I photographed her eyes and I asked her about what she was eating, see, that's the correlation. They never did. We did. So we followed that. What we found was there was a shadow, right? And we could actually pinpoint the shadow here, just here. In other words, on the base part of the brain. And you know what the shadow was made of? Junk food.
Of what?
Junk food, fast food.
Right, yeah.
Convenience food, oils and toxicity and all the wrong toxins, preservatives, pesticides, all had gone into that brain area, and that's what was giving her the massive headache. She had migraines. The moment we cleared a whole body, including that part of the brain, the migraines disappeared completely.
Her migraines were so bad that it was actually affecting her work. She was off work at least 2-3 times a week.
Yes.
So now she's actually able to work completely.
No problem. Yeah. Amazing, isn't it?
That's amazing. And obviously she didn't get surgery on her head, which is
no operation whatsoever. Another one was a young Caribbean type person living here, and his mother was one of our first patients, right? So what actually happened, he wouldn't listen to his mother, but he went skiing. His mother kept telling him, "You got to eat this, you got to eat that." Anyway, he went skiing. He cracked his knee. He cracked his knee on his left knee. Cracked his knee like 1.5 millimeters. Cracked it 1.5 millimeters, and he was in terrible pain, right? And they had to put a cast on and everything else. The doctor wanted £4,000 to generate steel plates and operation, surgeons, what else, and then he probably would never be able to walk properly again anyway. Anyway, so the mother told him, ring Ronald, ring Petrina, talk to them first. So he did. He was smart enough. He did. He was desperate. So we gave him the treatment, and about 8 weeks later, the knee that was cracked 1.5 millimeters completely healed, completely, without any operation.
What was the treatment? What did you give him at the time?
Well, we detoxified him first, and then we give him
specific foods
and we also give supplements like antioxidants and minerals, but very specific for him only, right? And it was such a powerful combination. The knee had no option but to renew, right? And he was in his 30s. So the mother just was so grateful, right? But so they would have had to find 4,000. But again, he could probably, with a proper treatment, he could walk again like we did. But if he'd had the wrong operation and went wrong, he may have been paralyzed in that knee forever.
Especially with the metal
plate being permanent, like that. You can't bend the knee, right? So then you can't walk, you can't run, you can't swim, you can't do anything. So we were so pleased to do that. There's a couple of others. That was a spectacular case as well. I was on television and on London TV, and I was talking about herbs that day. I was talking about the power of herbs. And this lady was flicking the channel, right? It was about 400. She was clicking the channel. She came across this channel, and I happened to be on that channel live, speaking about how the body works and iridology and so on. Anyway, she immediately rang the channel, and she said, "Look, I wanted to talk to this guy. He's making sense, right?" And so anyway, the channel gave her Petrina's number. She rang Petrina for about an hour. She spoke to Petrina. She was that suspicious. She'd been to so many doctors, she was getting nowhere. Anyway, she rang Petrina. Petrina explained everything. Anyway, she made the time, she came.
This lady was suffering from about 40 plus years on psoriasis, which is a very severe skin issue.
Very severe. It's way past eczema, right? She was so toxic with that psoriasis. Her scalp, her forehead, her face, her eyes, her nose, her back, all of the arms, even the center part here
Was peeling.
was peeling. It was like a leprosy. And when, in fact, just to go forward a bit, when she finished here, Petrina had to vacuum the floor. It was like a snowflakes on all over the floor. It's terrible. And this woman had seen 38 doctors, including 7 skin specialists from Harley Street.
Wow.
Right? And they all could not fix it because they didn't know how to tackle it. Right? They kept giving all kinds of ointments and medicine and antibiotics or whatever, but we found it. And we looked at the eyes, we detoxified her. It took about 3 weeks, she got results, and then it took about 16 weeks all up, 4 months. That's not bad, 4 months after about 38 years, right? 4, and then she was completely healed, completely. Completely, not a single mark of psoriasis left, right? And so I've seen this happen in Malaysia, I've seen it happen in Singapore, Australia. So I'm now writing a book on how to heal psoriasis, because the market for psoriasis is there so many people suffering from it. It's equivalent to $13.25 billion US by the year 2025. So that means there's a big percentage of people who suffer from psoriasis.
It's fascinating stuff, isn't it? I couldn't believe it the first time I heard it. I mean, I can believe it, but it is incredible. And what I find most incredible is that you have a very tangible tool to actually tell what's wrong and where.
Yeah.
And obviously you have a lot of years of experience behind you, which I think that is incomparable. Like somebody who just started will be completely different, even if you have a passion to do the same thing you do. You guys combined have all these years of experience in both iridology and nutrition.
Yes.
So it's amazing.
We just want to share one more help that we managed to give, or rather Ronald did. There was a family in Malaysia, and the son was about 8 or 9 years old at the time, and he had severe asthma.
Yes.
And he was having four lots of Ventolins. You know, the pump,
the puffer. Yeah? 4 lots per day.
And the extreme thing about that is the parents, with all good parents will think, they were actually saying, yes, I give my kid good food.
Yeah.
So Ronald told him to actually told the dad to actually write down exactly what the son was being given. Yes. So he wrote down everything. Yes. Ronald crossed out about 95% of the food. Yeah. So the guy panicked and said, what am I going to give? I thought this was good food. Yeah. So Ronald changed the food, and then now the son's slightly older and he's come off the Ventolin. He's able to play the flute, the harmonica, and all the other wind instruments. Yes. So that's a real good transformation as well.
What you should have seen the look on his face. I said I got 3 pens here. I got a blue pen, a green pen, and a red pen. If you see me pick up the red pen, that means you're not doing the right thing, right? So he gave me 8 pages of what they gave this kid. 8 pages. I went through it fast because I know my stuff. I went through it and I went noodles, this, that, chop up. And then, but back a couple of steps, this guy used to go to hospital in an ambulance once a month with a ventilator. And in fact, they'd made the leather worker had made a satchel, little satchel, to put on the side of his belt where he could put his Ventolin in there at school. Okay. So he had the Ventolin on him, no matter where he went, on his hip, and every time he had an attack, he would just puff, right? And this Ventolin was a killer. He'd been on it for 8 years. So within about 16 weeks, again, totally healed, complexion changes, like she said, flute, piano, guitar, running around, volleyball, swimming, and the parents, I was like, all right, what a way. See, that's how it works, you know. So what actually happened is that when you see that sort of result, it's very encouraging for the patients and for us. Yeah, we've seen that our system works, right? And no, people say that you actually fail. No, we don't fail. The reason why the patients fail is because they do a part of what we recommend, or a small part or medium part, but they don't do the whole thing. Yeah. Right? And so if you've got someone who's very experienced like us, you do exactly what you're told, exactly, and then you get results. And then you don't. That's the only reason it works, because you follow the advice that's been proven with thousands and thousands of cases before, right? And that's what's fascinating, right? Now, whilst we're onto that, I'll just show you one more chart, because I think that's fascinating. What happened is that when you're born, right? When you're born, you're here in that blue color, okay? The blue color, so you're there. Now, that means you're in reasonably good shape. But if you get sick with colds, whatever, you don't treat it properly, but you suppress it with drugs, you then move from that sector to the next sector, which is this one here. Right? That's acute. You got darker there, and that's subacute. Then you got a chronic, and then you got a degenerative. In other words, you've traveled to 4 levels of stage of disease, right? And I can tell you now, if the medical profession understood this, 90% of the hospitals would be empty, right? Because that's where you got to know where the person is. We have the ability to iridology and sclerology to know which organs are here, 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 or here, right? Now, remarkably, in America and here, at that level here, chronic, 80% of disease in the UK and America is there. 80%.
That's amazing, because that's
Yeah, that is staggering.
yeah, staggering.
And then this one here with the degenerative, that's where you got asthma, cancer, tumors, arthritis, terrible joint pain. That's where you're suffering from. Now, remarkably, this science is so powerful. You can actually take someone at that stage, at that advanced stage of toxicity and damage, and applying the right nutrition, applying the right detoxification, you can reverse them right back to the start, right back, right? And I've proven that myself, because I'm 74 in August. My skin is younger now than when I was 50.
Really? I can believe that. Yeah.
You can see my skin. It's not a mark, and you can see my hair. Look at this. See? And
Natural.
I'm not saying that to brag. I'm past that. I'm saying that to just show you how exciting it is.
What is possible?
What is possible?
Yeah.
What is possible? Right? And this is where it gets interesting. Okay.
And it's possible with simple. Sorry, go on.
Go on. Yeah, go on.
It's possible with simple changes, I guess, as you said. All this is possible with nutrition.
Yes.
It's not that you need to do something.
Yeah.
Impossible to do, I suppose. Even the diets you recommend, or not diet, I don't like to use that word. The nutritional changes you recommend, I suppose they're not so hard to do, as long as you want to put in the effort. Yeah,
that's right.
You can make the changes gradually. For example, we don't recommend white rice. So for those of you who are eating white rice, we'll just say just introduce a bit of brown rice and other rice into the mixture, maybe like 90% white and then 10% brown, and then slowly increase the brown mixture and eliminate the white.
You've raised a very interesting point, because I would say that about 96% of people who are sick, right, will not listen to us in full at first. Will not, right? Because it's just it's like going from north to south, right? They won't. So what we do, we explain to them, we would like them to go north. They're south now in the cold. We'd like them to go north, but we say we're going to introduce you to a change in your breakfast. So we start with breakfast, and we design a great breakfast. And then what happened after a few weeks, we go, how are you going? Oh, wow, feeling great, feeling this. And then they say to us, what else do you recommend? That means their mind is now open.
Yeah.
So then we come in with lunch or dinner, and eventually they ask us about the next stage. Then they ask us about exercise. Then they ask us about water. Then they ask us about drinks. They ask us about cooking equipment. And some people go all the way with their whole 28 protocols, right? But we have learned we never force anybody to do everything at once.
That's probably would be too overwhelming, and they would only slip back. So
it would, yeah, it overwhelms most people, because although they sense and they see that we're very capable, they still want to see results with a step, with 1 or 2 steps. They want to see results.
Then you create a new belief and you want more of it.
Yeah. And then once they trust us at that point, could be 3 weeks, could be 3 months. Once they trust us, they're unstoppable. Then they bring their family, they bring their kids, sometimes they bring their own doctors.
What to do that as well to you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Regarding nutrition, you mentioned brown rice or white rice is not great for you, so recommend brown rice.
Correct.
What are the other main things that you recommend? The other question will be about, you mentioned frustration, fear, and there's different emotions. So I'll be really interested to know about that mind, body, or emotions and body connection, and the eye, and what else you can see, and how you help fix that as well. Sure. Is it again through nutrition or not? But let's go to the first question first. What are the main nutritional things that you would recommend for across the board rather than for specific issues?
Well, what you got to remember is this: if you go back 2,000 years or more, the human race was created from the earth, from the soil of the earth. That's it, soil of the earth. Now, so when you've done as much organic gardening as I have, and all the guys I've dealt with and the women I've dealt with, organic gardening is about understanding the mineralization of the soil, minerals, right? So I worked out, wow, this is interesting. If we were made from the earth of the soil, or the soil of the earth, right? Okay. That means that if we put the right minerals back in the system at any age, we become young again. We become young again. So the nutrition that we work with is we always do that first. If there's a need for detoxification, we always apply deep tissue detoxification the way we teach it first, right? In other words, you're cleaning your toilet first, right? Clean it up first, right? So we clean it up first, and then we bring them on the fibers, and a part of it, fibers, and then antioxidants and minerals, big range of minerals. So they're getting all the key minerals like potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, selenium, molybdenum. We work out what's missing, and we put them on a broad range of quality nutrition, which basically has got a 5-star platinum plus quality, right? And then they get results pretty quick then, because they're feeding the body all the right nutrition. They get, at that point in time, we then improve their breakfast more, their lunch more, and then we start with the nutrition 3 times a day, right? And then we start applying different types of nutrition, like for example with the rice. Instead of people going from white rice to one rice, we've come up with a system. We put 40% brown rice, 40% red rice, and 20% wild rice.
Okay.
Can you see the difference all of a sudden? You go from this denatured, polluted, GM modified, rubbish white rice. You're now getting wild rice, brown rice, red rice.
Yeah.
You change your body from having no B complex vitamins to a complete B complex vitamins.
Yeah.
And your energy level goes to the roof.
Yeah, I can only imagine that. There's a question actually here from Stephanie. What do you base nutrition on, if I may ask? Elimination of processed foods, mucus forming foods, etc. I think basically you just answered that.
The first thing you got to do, you made a very interesting comment before. You said, I don't like the word diets. And so you should. Look at the first 3 letters. D-I-E.
Oh God, I never thought about that.
You bother?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, when people study dietetics, they study how to keep people from dying.
Keep people
with a very minimal budget.
With a minimal budget. Dietitians, dietetics, whatever, work in hospitals. They never have their own clinic, never. They work in hospital and they get given a budget of about £8 or £9, and they feed sick people on that budget. Now, that's not nutrition. That is a diet.
If you've ever been to the
Yeah.
hospital, you look at the food, what do they do? Mashed potato, which
Yeah.
is the powder form of mash.
Yes.
Maybe a slice of apple
Yes.
and a piece of meat.
Yeah. Cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So we look at that, and we look at the doctors, we look at the nurses, and we say, well, what are these people doing? What are they doing? Like, I mean, they're listening to a dietitian who's got a year behind them, a year's work, and that's the one they rely to feed people that bit of chicken. And then the other thing I notice, every hospital I'm in, they give them chicken with the skin on, and it's fried. And so the first thing you got to do is take the chicken skin off, right? Because if you're sick, you got to get the fat off, the wrong fats, right?
Okay.
So the nutrition, the nutrition is the next level. You have to detoxify first.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And in a way I can explain this. Well, let's say you've got a house, right? And your house hasn't been cleaned properly for 30 years, and you're what I call a hoarder, right? You've got stuff everywhere, right? Now, if you put 1 or 2 cleaners, that's going to take years to clean up.
Mm.
But if we put, say, 16 cleaners in, right, and they're all given a certain job, like the toilet first, then the bathroom, within a matter of 1 week, your house is sparking clean.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we call deep tissue detoxification in the body.
Yeah.
You don't see it, but you feel it. You see, so it's like if for example, if you go to the toilet, but you don't flush your toilet for about a week, what do you think the house is going to be like, right? So some people are 80 years old, right? They've eaten millions and millions, literally millions of food, like a little mini supermarket, and they expect to feel good. They won't.
Yeah.
You have to put them to this system of deep tissue detoxification. You have to know exactly what to do with them. But they have to do it within their discipline.
At their own paces as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Stephanie said, sorry?
I can see Philip's partners are going like this. You're seeing the truth, eh? Yeah, okay. Well, are we answering the question?
Yeah, that's so. See, Stephanie said it is indeed. That makes sense. Okay, if you have any other questions, please pop them in the chat box, either the Zoom or the Facebook Live. I have one more question, as I mentioned before. What about things such as emotions, trauma, kind of stuff that you see? So all the emotional side of the equation and the mind side of the equation. You said it's related to, let's say, they're relating to certain organs, etc. Do you see them separately? Do you see them together with, say, if you have something wrong with your eyes? Yes. That means you're fearful of the future. If it's the colons, frustration, etc. And then once you see that, how do you fix that? Or how do you work?
Well, that's a really very important question. Very, because you see, if you go to a dietitian, for example, or most doctors for that matter, they will never ever talk about your emotion.
No.
unless they're a really rare bird, right? They will not talk about your emotion. Now, it's very important as part of our healing practice, wellness, that when you analyze the eyes, that you look for the signs of stress. You look for that, okay? And we see that there is a system in the eye. It's called contraction furrows or stress rings. And if you look at the iris, you will see a circle. You'll see a circle of deep furrow, like a digger's dug into the soil. You'll see that circle. Sometimes it's concentric completely. Sometimes it's just at 8 o'clock on the liver or the brain. So, and it can go up to 5 rings, 5 stress rings. And of course, from that point on, you get to know there's a big emotional factor. You get to know it. And then you start asking questions discreetly without harming their mind, right? You then start talking about their family, their support system, their work, how do they feel about it. And I've seen people burst into tears after about 10 minutes because for once in their life, somebody's asked enough questions to find a bottom line. What is the real problem?
We've even seen cases for children as young as like 5 years old, and they've got like 3 or 4 stress rings. Yes. And that's probably the case that they might have been bullied in school or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. And those stress rings is remarkable. If the ring is concentric completely, one ring, that person is suffering from 20% stress. Right?
What is the scale? What is the 20 difference to 100%?
Yeah, I'm about to explain to you. So one ring, now one ring is 20% stress, 2 rings, 40%, 3 rings, 60%, 4 rings, 80% stress, 5 rings, extremely stressed. Right? And I've discovered this link. If someone's got 5 ring concentric all around, that person has thought about suicide, is quite depressed internally. They mightn't show it, but they will talk about suicide. They'll even commit suicide. So you have to deal with it very fast, right? And so when we see the degree of rings, we can then approach that person on an emotional level and say, what's your love life like? What's your partner like? What's your mum like? What's your dad like? Did you have a good childhood? You ask the smart question in a really discreet, gentle way. And then you see people react and tear up. And then you say, look, you've come in the right hands. You can get rid of this emotion. We're going to deal with it this way. So then we teach them what minerals to use, right? And what special vitamins to use to actually get rid of a nasty emotion inside them. We do it because you got to give a person B complex vitamins and minerals for the nervous system to calm down, their brain to sharpen up, to correlate and work. And what that does, that combination of B complex vitamins, vitamin C, minerals, and so on, plus yourself talking about emotion and reading the right books and support, what that does, it creates an enormous bridge that they can go across and get to the other side where they belong.
About 5 years ago, we helped a teenager. She was in her late teens, about 17, and she could not lift her arm beyond this point.
Yes.
Well, any normal person can lift up high, but she was just there.
Yeah.
And when we found out, she was actually affected emotionally as well because she was in an unhappy household at the time.
Yes.
Her parents were constantly fighting, and that affected her.
Yeah.
So eventually, with our help with proper nutrition and also the right mental attitude, she's now able to actually lift her arm fully.
She'd never been able to lift her arm for about 3 or 4 years. But like Petrina said, the household, we know them, the household was putrid. The husband and wife were always fighting. The husband would go fishing, wouldn't care about the kids. He got drinking and so on and so on. But what happened is that when you combine all that she like that, she didn't want to lift her arm. In other words, she didn't want to.
It was painful. She couldn't.
It was painful.
Yeah.
The moment we put on the right minerals, she was able to do this. And she was only about 16, right? So if we hadn't intervened, there's a very strong chance she would have been very sick at the age of 30.
Yeah.
But that's what's exciting about what we do. But I suppose the question begs to be asked is that how many people do what we do in the world?
Do you have the answer?
I would say probably 10. Yeah. 10 people worldwide, because we know we've been to America, we've been to Canada, we've been all these places. We know what's out there, right? And certainly in the medical profession, none, maybe 1 or 2 after they've been medical, after they've seen the light with us, then they start to think like us. But then by then they're 60, 70, maybe, and then they say, too late for me, they just don't see it. But Petrina's been quite young, and I've been in it since about 14 years old. I've grown up with this thinking. See the difference? So I'd say 10 people in the world can do what I do, what we do. 10.
Why is that? Why is that? Is that because, I mean, there are people who do holistic and alternative medicine.
Sure.
So it's not that, obviously it's not mainstream like traditional medicine, but there are people, they're nutritionists, they're holistic dentist practitioners. Why is it that iridology is not popular, or not popular among those people at the very least? Why do you think that is?
Because I'll tell you what it is. Number one, they haven't had anybody that was good enough to convince them.
Yeah.
You see, if you're highly intelligent, you're a doctor or you're a dentist or you're highly intelligent. That's how you got there. But if you don't come across someone like us, right, that really can demonstrate what we do, like in really powerful terms, with 25, 30, 40 years of experience, you're going to say, nah, that's a lot of quackery. It doesn't work, right?
Also, the other thing I think that sets us apart is we are one of the rare groups that we not only believe in just using one remedy. For example, a lot of people, they said, okay, they are selling supplements, so they go for just one brand.
Yeah.
Whereas we know that even the top brand that we do doesn't actually cover everything. So we've actually gone for various top quality supplements as well, and other products.
Yes. Same with, that's very true. It's the same with if you just eat carrots, beetroots, and plums, you know,
you have to eat a variety.
You have to eat a variety.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
For example, some people
holistic means really. Sorry, go on.
Yeah.
But so, for example, like if you believe in using olive oil, that means you can't just live on olive oil. You have to live on
Coconut
clean
oil.
water as well, coconut oil.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the conundrum is this, that very, very few people have put as much time and dedication as we have. Very few. So and you can
time and dedication.
Yeah.
Because it's a complex, as you showed us the book, it's a complex subject. It's not more difficult than other things to more broader than other things to grasp.
Well, just to explain a bit more, I've just been to a big army reunion, the 5th Battalion reunion in March in Queensland, and there was 513 people there from 2 battalions, right? That's 1,600 men. 513 people, 520 actually turned up, and I know quite a few of them. And then they were still in a Petrina, and they're talking to me, and they turned around and said, "You're still working? You guys still working? You're 73. You're still working?" Yeah. Why don't you retire? Get in the caravan, go around Australia, go around the world, enjoy life. I said, "What makes you think we don't enjoy life?" But every one of them was so astonished we're still working. And because they just couldn't understand. They said, "Look, we get this paying, we get this money. We go in Australia, we go there, we go fishing, we got to." And I said to them, "How many people have you healed?" And it's like, oh.
That's the sad part. Most people are just looking to make some money and then retire and then enjoy life because they don't enjoy their work, likely.
Exactly.
Well, what you do is not really work, and you don't need to retire.
Exactly.
For example, when we go on holiday, obviously we meet people and they've got different health concerns. We do help them. We can't just say, "Sorry, we're on holiday, book in and come and see us when we are back at work." So we actually also we're working while on holiday, but we're helping people whom we may not meet again because we are in a different country.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. And you enjoy it, and you don't. I bet you don't think, "Oh, I have to work now. I just want to enjoy my holidays." Just work should be part of who you are if you really enjoy it. And instead, separate, compartmentalizing work and holidays is ridiculous. You know, if you actually do something you're passionate about. And
well, in the area we're in, which is like South Chigwell, we are well known. Most people, they come and see us before they go to a doctor. They come and see us, and we give them our own herbal medicine. We give them our own advice, and we've seen people here that don't listen, and they've ended up in a bad way because they wouldn't listen. But again, this old saying: if you can talk to someone, they're blue in the face. If they don't listen, don't feel guilty. There's a scripture in the Bible which is very telling. It says, "Give the good message to the village. And if they don't listen, shake the dust off your sandals and walk away."
True. You can't force people to change.
You can't force people. So in other words, what they're saying, in the time this was said, the road was full of dust, and that's why you wore sandals. In other words, do the right thing, do as much as you can for someone. But if they don't want to listen, and you see that, just say, "Okay, walk."
Yeah.
Walk. They may never come back to you. Then again, they may. But
when they're ready.
Yeah, it depends. So our conscience is clear. We give the right advice. If they don't listen, well, we've gone to the next village.
Yeah.
And they do listen.
Yeah, exactly. If they're not ready, they're not going to implement the advice. So what's the point?
Exactly. Yeah.
Stephanie says following your passion is never really work. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys.
What does Stephanie say?
Following your
Following your
passion.
passion is never work.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what.
It's also saying that's amazing. The human body is always communicating to us regarding everything in our life experiences, whether or not we pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely.
Absolutely correct. Well, it's like I related to you, you know, about what you were feeling at one stage, and then when I mentioned that, you went, wow, this guy's picked it up. He's like, just I hadn't seen you, but you meant the words you use. I thought, you need to do this. See? So
Yeah.
that's what it's all. But when people come and see us, I'll tell you what, you should see their face after 2 hours. It's like, you know, because we're reading everything inside them. Yeah, so that's quite fascinating. Anyway, anything else?
If anybody, my only last question is, if anybody wants to come and see you guys, what's the best way to contact you? What's the procedure? If anybody now listening today wants to contact you, what's the best way to do that? And
Yeah,
then,
we've got a calendar system, which you can probably type in. It's calendly.com/wellness iridology. So it's calendly.com/wellness iridology, all one word. If you can type it in the video, that'll be great. And they can book in for a 15-20 minutes chat with us. We will see whether what sort of concerns they have.
Yeah.
okay. I'll attach that to the end of the video so they can see the link. And anybody who's watching this.
I always say that at the end. I hope this has opened your eyes.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
And likewise, if anybody wants to learn this, I guess they can contact you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
One thing we need to point out is, you know, we all have boilers. Most of us have cars and vehicles. We have this MOT or boiler checkup or servicing at least once a year.
Yeah.
So why not give our own bodies a health checkup as well?
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
Rather than find out along the way that you've gone wrong. The example you always give is, if you're going on a long journey and you're driving, would you rather have your car checked up, invest in a bit of money to repair it, and go for the long journey, or go for the long journey and hope you don't break down?
Yeah, absolutely. You will never do that if you think there might be something wrong. Exactly. You'll never do it with your car, but we do it with our bodies for some reason.
In other words, don't wait till you get sick. If you start to feel a bit unwell, get yourself looked at, because that's a warning that something's happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Or even if you feel well, you never know. It's like when you take your car for servicing or your boiler once a year, you don't know what's going wrong. To give you a very good example, years ago, about 5 years ago, we fortunately decided to upgrade our boiler. And believe it or not, after we decided to upgrade, the day that the engineer was coming to install the boiler, our old boiler, which we thought was still working, but we knew it was old, so we need to upgrade it, that boiler broke down, and it was the middle of winter. So we're just so thankful we actually changed it before it broke down, although there was nothing wrong with it that we could see. So
I couldn't believe it. The boiler broke down the night before.
No, the day
before the boiler repairer came, or the new one. Quite amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great metaphor, a great analogy. So guys, whoever's watching this, don't wait until something really bad happens. Just have a checkup on your body.
Yeah.
Your mind, whatever is going wrong, just have a checkup now. So we'll include the contact details at the end of this video so anybody can contact you.